Overpayments versus investing. What should you choose? The average person is tied to their mortgage for 25 years and pays £129,000 in interest alone. In this video, we're going to give you the crucial tips to help you decide. Most people don't know what to do when they're faced with this decision, but we've set out 3 key paths that can help you. And stick around until the end when we'll give you the key piece of advice that might tip your decision. Hi, I'm Aisha, your friendly neighbourhood economist. Let's get to it. So, you have an emergency fund in place, you've paid off any high interest debts, and you have your retirement planning in place. Now what do? You have a nice £200 spare at the end of each month. What next? How do you avoid being stuck for the next 25 years? This is where you could choose to take the first path, which is overpayments. Let's start with a scenario you might recognise. A £250,000 mortgage, 25-year term, 5.5% interest rate. Okay, so you throw your extra £200 at your mortgage each month, and just by sticking to this overpayment, you've cut your mortgage term by 6 years and 2 months. But the benefits don't stop here. By maintaining this consistency, you've saved yourself £37,000 in interest alone. No market fluctuations, no sleepless nights, just pure, predictable maths working in your favour. There's also something psychologically powerful about reducing your debt that spreadsheets just can't capture. Behavioural economists call this debt aversion bias, but I like to call it the sleep better at night factor. Loss aversion shows us something really interesting. That £1 of debt, it causes more psychological distress than the pleasure you get from £1 of savings. It's like how losing £20 feels worse than finding £20 feels good. Think about this. If you lost your job tomorrow, which scenario would feel better? Having a smaller mortgage with lower monthly payments, or a larger investment pot that you might be reluctant to touch? There are some real tangible benefits to building up equity in your property that go beyond just the numbers. Here's what it looks like in the real world. First off, having more equity in your property is like having a financial safety net. More financial flexibility, if you will. Think about it. If life throws you a curveball, because it always will, having a good chunk of equity gives you options. Need to downsize? That's a lot easier to do when you own more of your property than the bank does. Okay, let's talk about your loan to value ratio, or LTV. The more equity you have, the lower your LTV. And a lower LTV could mean access to significantly better interest rates. For example, on a £250,000 house, the difference between a 75% LTV and an 85% LTV mortgage rate could be as much as 0.5% interest. That might not sound like much, but over 10 years, you could be saving over £10,000 in interest payments alone. That's over £90 saved every month. Plus, your monthly payments would be about £300 lower from day one with the lower LTV. And here's an added bonus that often gets overlooked. Unlike investment gains, which might get a visit from the taxman, mortgage overpayments are completely tax-free. But hold on a minute. Is this the most financially optimal route to take? What if you want to be as wealthy as you can with your extra £200? What do you do then? The next path is investments. Take that same £200 and let it loose in the market. Assuming historical returns of 7.75% after inflation, you're not looking at £37,000 anymore. You're staring at £150,000. 4 times more. Obviously, your risk tolerance is a factor in choosing this path, as there are no guaranteed returns on the markets. But the advantage of investments is that you still have cash there available to use, whereas mortgage overpayments are illiquid. So that money's already been sunk into payments and isn't available for you to use again. Okay, So we've explored the most psychologically appealing area in overpayments and the most financially beneficial area in investments. However, what if you're not set on just one or the other? Well, you don't have to choose just one path. You could split that extra £200, putting £100 towards your mortgage and £100 into investments. It's like diversification for your financial goals. This way, you're building both equity and investments, you're keeping your options open, and you're satisfying both the logical and emotional side of your brain. According to a 2023 survey by Money and Mental Health Policy Institute, 73% of people who focused solely on mathematical optimization reported higher financial anxiety compared to those who balanced emotional and numerical factors. Okay, so comparing our three paths using that same example, here's what it looks like. So, as you can see, Path 3, the hybrid approach, offers greater financial gain than Path 1, overpaying on your mortgage. Gains of just over £43,000 to be precise. Something definitely worth considering as an option. So, armed with these choices, how do you actually make the decision? Well, this is the key piece of advice that may tip you one way or another. Your position on your mortgage journey. Let me explain why. We can break your mortgage term down into 3 sections. Let's start with the early years. So that's your first 5 to 10 years. Here's something that might surprise you. In the first 5 years of a typical 25-year mortgage, about 80% of your monthly payment goes to interest rather than reducing your debt. It's what's called front-loaded interest, and it's about as fun as it sounds. But here's where it gets interesting. A study by Vanguard found that investing early in your career, so that's around ages 25 to 35, can lead to up to 2.3 times more wealth compared to starting just 10 years later. Why? Well, that's down to our old friend compound interest. So early on in your mortgage journey, getting your investments in might be the best choice. Now, let's move on to mid-mortgage. So that's 10 to 15 years down the line. The Financial Conduct Authority's 2023 report shows that homeowners who made overpayments during this period are 64% more likely to be mortgage-free by retirement. Something to think about. But there's still a number of years left to go, so perhaps the hybrid approach is the best at this stage. And finally, we reach the later years, so that's 15 plus years down the line. By this point, your interest to principal ratio has flipped. You're finally nearly clear of that debt. The Money and Pension Service found that mortgage-free retirees spend 37% less on monthly living costs compared to those still paying mortgages. So this might be the point to just hammer down that mortgage and get it gone. Okay, we've run through these options, but what if you're not generating that £200 spare cash just yet? Well, we've got a video here on what your payday routine could look like to get you there. Bye for now.